Okay, so picture this. You're walking through this, like, dense wetland, right? The sun's dappling through the trees, and the ground's all soggy and covered with leaves.
Sounds peaceful.
Yeah, peaceful, right? But lurking somewhere in that undergrowth is a creature so perfectly camouflaged that it practically disappears.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, we're talking rattlesnakes, specifically the Eastern Massasauga rattlesnake.
Now that's a snake with a story to tell.
Absolutely, and unfortunately, it's not always a happy story. These guys are facing some serious challenges, and, well, their future is kind of uncertain, to say the least.
Yeah, they're definitely specialists, these snakes. They've adapted to a very specific environment. And as that environment changes, well, they struggle to keep up.
Right, exactly. And we're going to get into all of that today. We've got a whole pile of research, articles,
The
report.
whole 9 yards.
Exactly. And we're going to deep dive into everything, their physical features, behavior, habitat needs, conservation status,
The threats they face.
the whole shebang. By the end of this, you'll be able to spot a Massasauga from a mile away. Or, well, at least know what to look for.
And more importantly, you'll understand why these snakes are so vital to their ecosystems and why we should care about, helping them out.
So first things first, what exactly is an Eastern Massasauga rattlesnake?
Well, the quick and dirty is it's a venomous pit viper.
Oh, there's that word venomous. That's usually where people tune out.
Right. But hold on a second. These guys are actually pretty small as far as rattlesnakes go. I mean, we're talking like 18 to 30 inches long on average.
Okay, that's not as terrifying as I was imagining.
Yeah, they're not these giant menacing creatures that Hollywood loves to portray.
Okay, good to know. Now, you said pit viper. What does that mean exactly?
It refers to those heat-sensing pits they have, between their eyes and nostrils.
Oh, right, like infrared detectors, basically.
Exactly. It's like having built-in night vision goggles. They can sense the heat signature of warm-blooded prey, even in total darkness.
That's incredible. So what are they lunting with those heat-seeking abilities?
Mostly small mammals, mice, voles, that sort of thing. Sometimes amphibians, the occasional small bird. Whatever fits in their mouth, really.
So they're playing an important role in keeping those populations in check.
Exactly. It's all about balance, right?
Right. Now, their camouflage, that's got to be a huge part of their survival strategy, right? Especially if they're not the biggest or the most aggressive snakes out there.
Oh, absolutely. Their coloration is all about blending in. Those dark brown blotches on a grayish light brown background.
Yep.
It makes them practically invisible in their preferred habitats. Wetlands, prairies, open woodlands, they just kind of melt into the background.
And speaking of blending in, that brings us to their behavior, right? The whole aggressive rattlesnake myth.
Ugh, yeah, that myth. I need to bust that wide open. Camouflage, like we were just saying, is their primary defense mechanism. They would much rather avoid confrontation altogether than, pick a fight.
So the rattle is like a last resort.
Exactly. It's like a warning system. Hey, I'm here. Back off. Not an invitation to attack.
Right, like, don't step on me.
Pretty much. And, connecting back to what we were talking about earlier, fear often comes from a lack of understanding. Bites are incredibly rare.
Yeah, you're not going to get bitten unless you're, like, messing with the snake, right?
Right, like picking it up, trying to handle it, or accidentally stepping on it.
Got it. So not aggressive, just defensive. What about their venom? How dangerous is that?
Okay, so their venom is potent. Like, you definitely need medical attention if you're bitten, but it's less potent than the venom of, say, a diamondback rattlesnake or a Simba rattlesnake.
Okay, so still dangerous, but maybe not an instant death sentence.
Exactly. Treatment is crucial, but it's usually effective.
Okay, that's good to know. Now let's talk habitat. Where do these guys hang out?
Historically, they were found all over the Great Lakes region, both in the U.S. and Canada.
Okay, so a pretty wide range.
Yeah, but their range has shrunk significantly over the years. They're kind of picky about their real estate,
In what way?
Well, they need a specific mix of wet and dry conditions. Like, they hibernate in wetlands during the winter, but then they need drier grasslands or open woodlands for foraging and basking in the sun.
Ah, so they need a variety of habitats within close proximity to survive. And I'm guessing that's where habitat loss and fragmentation come into play.
Bingo. Urban sprawl, agriculture, draining wetlands, it's all led to a loss of suitable habitat. And what's worse, it's fragmented the remaining habitat into these isolated little pockets.
So it's like their world is being chopped up into smaller and smaller pieces.
Exactly, and that makes them more vulnerable to all sorts of threats, disease, genetic bottlenecks, local extinctions.
Right, because if one population gets wiped out, there's less chance of recolonization from a neighboring population.
Exactly, and that brings us to their conservation status.
Which is?
Not great. The Eastern Massasauga is listed as threatened in both the U.S. and Canada.
Which basically means they're on the brink of becoming endangered, right?
Yeah, unless things change pretty drastically, and it's not just habitat loss that's pushing them towards that edge.
So what else is threatening them?
Road mortality is a big one. Think about it. These guys are slow moving, they blend in with the pavement, and they're trying to cross busy roads. It's a recipe for disaster.
Oh, that's awful. So cars are a huge threat.
Huge. Then there's illegal collection. Some people, want them for the pet trade, or they just, I don't know, they see a rattlesnake, they panic, and they kill it.
That's so sad. It sounds like a lot of it comes down to fear and misunderstanding.
Yeah, a lot of it is. And of course, we can't forget about climate change.
Right. How's that impacting them?
Well, it's messing with the delicate balance of their wetland habitats. Rising temperatures, changes in rainfall patterns, increased flooding, and drought.
It's just making it harder and harder for them to survive.
Yeah, pretty much. It's affecting their hibernation success, their ability to find food, their reproductive rates, the whole 9 yards.
It all sounds so bleak. Is there any hope for these guys?
There is. There are a lot of dedicated people working hard to protect them, conservation organizations, government agencies.
What are they doing, specifically?
Well, habitat protection and restoration are huge priorities. They're also creating wildlife corridors, to connect those fragmented populations we were talking about. And education is a big part of it, too.
Yeah, getting the word out, teaching people about these snakes, helping them understand that rattlesnakes aren't these mindless killing machines.
Exactly. Fear often comes from a lack of understanding. When people learn about these snakes, they're often surprised by how docile they actually are.
Right. It's all about coexisting, respecting their space, and appreciating their role in the ecosystem.
Exactly. They're not monsters. They're fascinating creatures that play a vital role in maintaining balance in our natural world.
Well said. So next time you're out exploring, maybe near a wetland or a grassy area, take a moment to appreciate the unseen world around you. There might be a Massasauga hiding in plain sight, just doing its thing, contributing to the web of life.
And who knows, maybe if we can shift our perspective from fear to curiosity, we can help ensure a future for this incredible and often misunderstood species.
Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap things up here.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep exploring.